Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Before each episode, I would like to do a little bit of a catch up. And if you guys don't care for these catch ups, that is completely fine. You guys can just skip ahead, and I will meet you where you're at. So I like to do a little bit of a catch up for each episode just because I wanted to keep things lighthearted. All right, let's catch up. I had a pretty great week. Last week, actually, not this week, because it is a Monday. And I kind of just rolled out of bed. But yeah, last week it was a pretty good week. I hanged out with my friend like twice in a week, and it kind of felt like I put my projects on the back burner, but it was fine. I think as a creative, I need to experience things. I can't just create. I'm not a machine, right? I'm not a robot. I can't just keep on creating content for you guys and be creative, because creative power actually comes from it's the most effective when you take the time to rest and to experience life. Like, that's literally where creativity comes from. It's experiencing life. So last week I hanged out with my friend, and I'm actually an anxious driver. Yeah, I feel like back then I felt pretty shameful of being like an anxious driver. And actually being an anxious driver has kept me back from a lot of things, from a lot of job opportunities and from a lot of like relationship opportunities, because I was fearful of literally driving. Local was kind of okay. Like, I was okay with driving local, but still, like, I was pretty anxious and I wouldn't even go on the highway. And I don't know, guys, like, for the longest time, like, how many years? Like 14 years? Like, ever since I got my like license, I just have always been an anxious driver, because my parents would sit in the passenger seat and try to teach me, but all they did was yell at me and tell me how dumb I was and how, like, they weren't calm. And as someone who takes in other people's energy all too easily, I was not calm either. And I think that's like a huge thing when it comes to driving, or it comes to anything in life. If you're not calm, if you're not confident, then you can expect the worst. So yeah, for the longest time, I felt like chained and holed up because I didn't have the freedom. And I'd been really, really working on my confidence and self-doubt lately, and self-worth, to the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be like held back anymore. So guys, I drove, and I drove on the highway. I was like, I'm hanging out with my friend and she makes me feel like it's okay, like everything's fine. And I think, like, because of that, I felt confident, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to hold back anymore, right? I want this relationship to work out. So I went on the highway and I tried to stay calm about it. And like, luckily, we hung out on a weekday. So there weren't a lot of people. I was extremely grateful for that. But I did it. I did something that I literally have dreamed of ever since I've got my license, like more than 10 years ago. That's how old I am. More than 10 years ago. And I just, yeah, it took 10 years. It took a long time, but I finally did it. I wouldn't say I'm like a super great driver now, but I feel like I accomplished something that to me was huge. And Yeah. And then on Thursday, I hanged out with another friend. She was actually my mom's friend. We had lunch and we just ate so much food. And it was really nice to hang out with people and to be social. Even if I'm an introvert, I think I really like hanging out with people, especially if they're the right people. That's the thing. You know, I'm very sensitive. So I have to be really picky about who I hang out with, you know. Anyways, yeah, that's basically the catch up. Let's get into the episode. Yeah, because this is why you clicked on this video. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about dreamers and how dreamers are actually doers, and how our power of our mind, our imagination can serve us far greater than we have ever imagined. The thing is, like, I feel like we all heard of this. If not, I'm gonna say this, but dreams in general, whether you're daydreaming or you're dreaming at night, it actually reveals glimpses of our subconsciousness. They hold sacred messages about our most deepest desires, our hidden fears, and the parts of ourselves that long to grow. So if we tap into our dreams, we can listen to those messages. And in fact, that's what I've been doing. And it really has surprisingly shaped my life in more ways than I can imagine. Anyways, daydreaming is not a distraction at all, right? At least not to me. And it's the very thing that can really help me and help you build the life that you've always wanted. So going back to my childhood, I want to talk a little bit about it more so you guys can really understand like where I'm coming from. And I think this is something that a lot of us dreamers experienced. So yeah, let's rewind to childhood. Yay, I love childhood. Wow, I don't know, maybe you like your childhood, maybe you don't. And for me, I definitely don't. I definitely don't, because my childhood was literally like stolen from me. But it's important to talk about it because, again, I want you guys to see where I come from and things like that. So yeah, my childhood was stolen and overshadowed. I have my like fair share of locked away, dusty file cabinet memories that I just do not want to pull out. But I have to admit, even in the middle of all that, there were pockets of magic. The best moments for me were literally when I was outdoors in nature, like just sprinting through the wide open fields without a care in the world, convinced I was a fairy princess or a superhero, or, melting like ice pops or the freezer pops. Oh my God, guys. Who remembers those freezer pops? I don't know what you guys call them, but for me, I grew up calling them otter pops. I think it's mainly because there was that was like just the brand, but it was like those freezer pops. It's like a little like plastic tubes with like the frozen like ice pop inside, and you cut it off and you just like, it's kind of it, if you know it, you know what I mean. But it's like, oh man, like having an ice pop after like hours of swimming in a chlorine soaked pool. Oh my God, those pools, I can still smell the chlorine. It's like ingrained in my memory, but it's like, I felt it was amazing. Okay. That was like when times were simpler, when I didn't have to really think about like grown up stuff, quote unquote, grown up stuff. It was just me being a kid, right? And as a kid though, like how I grew up, I I felt like, as kids, we don't really have much control over the world, right? We like, we sort of just wander through it with equal parts wonder, equal parts confusion, and equal parts curiosity. We're just being kids. We're just kids, right? We don't really, we're not like still like aware about certain things. We're just literally existing. And that's wonderful. And that's beautiful. And that's what we should do as kids. Okay? That's what we should do as kids. And we were very imaginative. And that's, in my imagination, was the only thing that was keeping me like sane. Yeah, like without my imagination, childhood would not be the same. Without my imagination, adulthood would not be as easy as it would be. And somewhere along the line of growing up, I think like we're taught, whether it's like consciously or not, to sort of like pack up our imagination and shove it away into like the attics of our brain, right? Because we're deemed too silly or like not practical, and we need to grow up and face the real world. Those are all things that people have said to me, right? It's like, oh yeah, you're cute when you do it as like a kid, but then once you grow up, it's like not cute anymore. Hello? How is that like, And sometimes when you're a kid and you're like just playing and being a kid, I've also had like parents think that it's silly, even though you're a kid. So, yeah, like I think like if you were lucky, if you were the lucky ones who were encouraged to continue to dream and use your imagination, I will be honest and say, I envy you. I'm not jealous of you, that's different, but I envy you. Okay? Know that you are lucky. Very, very lucky. I, on the other hand, was mocked and shut down and told that I was childish for doing what came to me naturally. Like I was literally a 5-year-old playing with my toys, and then I was being told by my parents I was too childish. Hello, I'm 5 years old. How should I be when I was a 5-year-old? Like I felt like my parents wanted me to like grow up as fast as possible, and that's literally what I did. And now as I'm adult, I'm like, I don't think so. I think I'm going to, use my money and buy those toys that I never had when I was a kid. And yeah, you can call me childish, but now that I'm an adult, like I have the emotional capacity and I have the mental resilience to not really care about what you say to me. But when I was a child, I was very just like quite naive and very sensitive, and I took everything to heart, and it was pretty rocky. It was a pretty rocky childhood. And I kind of stopped being imaginative. I stopped playing my toys. I stopped being a kid, even though I was a kid. And I just grew up way too freaking fast. And for those of us who, had been in similar situations, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's like you barely even had a childhood because you had to sort of like be a grown up. And it's not easy for a kid to be a grown up because, you're a kid. You're not a grown up, And that's just, it really does like really mess with you when, through adulthood. And as a kid, like your mind starts to like shift and mold to whatever people want you to be. So yeah, unfortunately I felt unsafe, I felt unseen, unheard, and out of fear, because I wanted to please my parents too, right? I wanted to please them and be liked. And so yeah, I had a fear. I kind of just shelved my daydreams and started focusing on people pleasing. Yay! We love people pleasing. We love being treated like a doormat for crumbs. But yeah, I traded living in color for this black and white bubble designed by other people's expectations. Like, it was as if playfulness had become a crime and I didn't want to be caught in the act. Like, that's literally how I felt. Like, growing up with strict parents, I had to sort of like always walk on eggshells and tiptoe and do things. And I was like, oh no, I had to get rid of every creative thing. I had to stop being a kid. I have to start, living and acting the way that they wanted me to. But yeah, I was just trying to fit into the people's boxes. And like I mentioned before, my imagination is literally what kept me sane. It's my safe space, right? It's where I can be free, and especially in the way that I grew up. Like, my environment was not kind. And so my imagination was where I felt safe and free, right? And so without my imagination, without my childlike self, I felt adrift, like I was lost at sea with no boat and no land in sight. So fast forward many, many years later, in this desperation, right? Like, I felt numb for far too long. And then I was like, okay, no, I have to do something about it. Especially then I was like in college. So I was actually on my own. And that was when I started realizing things like, oh no, I can't live my life. I can't continue living my life this way. So, but I didn't know what to do. And especially because the people that was around me weren't kind to me either. So I can't turn to them. So I turned to things on the internet, because yes, I have more trust in people and strangers on the internet than I do with people in real life. And that's just how it is sometimes, So I turned to the internet and I tuned into pretty much every manifestation technique I can find under the sun and the moon. Scripting, affirmations, visualization, vision boards, and etc., etc. And so many people like got my hopes up because they were like, oh, like these methods like literally changed my life, like changed my life. When you say something like that, it's a bold statement, okay? But I think like nowadays, okay, tangent, but people be saying that just to be dramatic, and it's not like it really changed your life, I feel like. But then again, I don't know your story, so yes, but it changed their life. So I was like, wow, I want my life to change too. So teach me, random person on the internet. And so I did. I followed everything they said. I was really invested too, like what else was I gonna do with my time and my life? But thing is, like, the more I did it, it just felt a little bit off. It felt a little bit stiff and a little bit performative. Like I was forcing myself into someone else's energy. It almost felt like I was like lying to myself. And I know some people are like, oh, well, sometimes you gotta have to fake it till you make it, or the Lulu is a Solulu, and it's like, but like, yeah, sometimes to an extent, but it just felt really like, it like, I don't know how to say it. Like, it wasn't natural. I got frustrated more and more each time something didn't quote unquote work. So I stopped. I was like, this isn't working for me, and there's no point in continuing to do this. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to do what feels fun. I'm going to do what feels natural, and just daydream. Yeah, literally daydream, because that was That's how I was when I was a child. My first like safe space, my natural instincts, my like it came so natural to me, and probably it came very natural to you as a kid. Like daydreaming, imagination, playing pretend was like second nature for you. You didn't have to think hard about it, did you? No. It just literally came to you and you weren't judging it either. Yeah, so I started daydreaming. And guess what? It freaking worked. Like everything that I wanted literally like came to me because I was back into this playful energy. I wasn't like forcing myself. I wasn't like trying to feed myself something and shove it down my throat in hopes that it would work for me, you know? Just so like do what works best for you, right? And the reason why I'm gonna talk about why now this worked for me and why it could work for you, and you know why daydreaming is so underrated as like a manifestation technique or as like a technique to like create your dream life. So we all know this, right? There are countless manifestation techniques out there. It's like everybody be talking about it. It's, you know, and how it like changed their life, and you're doing this wrong, and you know, I cannot, guys, with all the videos that are saying like you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong is so BS. Okay, there's no wrong way to do things. I'm not bashing on these techniques. I'm just saying for me, it just does not work. For you, it could work. For me, it doesn't work. You need to find your own frequency, and that's what I'm getting at. But there are countless manifestation techniques on the internet. Just go on YouTube. You can type it in. It's like a plethora of videos and people telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and how to change your life, yada yada. But thing is, like, here's the deal. So scripting asks us to define exactly what we want and trust that it will happen, right? You can't just mindlessly write things down and, you know, like, you can't just mindlessly write things down over and over and over and over and over again. And it's like, do you even know what you want? Do you even know that it will happen? Also, a lot of us aren't writers, and it just does not work for us, right? Like, if we're not writers, we're not journalers, why are we doing scripting? That only works if you're like, you know, someone who really tries to like ingrain something in your head and you're a journaler or a writer. Affirmations is a popular one too. There's a lot of like affirmation meditations and things like that out there, or like affirmations for like self-worth and things like that. Yeah, that's great, but you know, maybe you're not like for me, I think I spend most of my time with my mouth closed and then with my mouth open and yapping and yapping, yapping. So affirmations don't really work for me because I'm not like, I can't be like, wake up every morning and like do these affirmations and wow, all of a sudden like, you know, things just become more clear for me. It just didn't work for me. It just didn't. And vision boarding is a popular one. Many videos are like, you're vision boarding wrong and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sorry if I'm like ranting, but like, it did not work for me, okay? It just did not work for me. Because one, and you like think about us, right? People is like, we think we know what we want. We think we know what we want, but do we really know what we want? Also, you can't like plan things out because life is full of uncertainty and spontaneity. You know what? I feel like we need to make room for that. And we can't just always like, you know, like, sometimes the things that we want comes to us in very unexpected ways. So I don't really vision board or even visualize sometimes, like do visualization, which I think is different from daydreaming. I don't really do that because it's like life is really full of uncertainty. So I can't like, I'm not a planner. I think I used to be, but not anymore. I'm not a planner. Especially now I'm like healing myself more and listening more into my intuition and my own frequency and working with my own natural human design. I'm just not. And so it's like, because I want to like, life again is so uncertain. How do you plan things out picture by picture? You can't, right? You really can't. And so, but daydreaming, okay, it like came to me so naturally as a child. And I think it still comes to me naturally as an adult. It just needs a little nudge sometimes. Because it's like, you know, because of like society. And like I just experienced a lot growing up. So yeah, but daydreaming engages our imagination without pressure, right? Without the weight of any societal expectations, family demands, or the question of whether something is quote unquote logical. It lets us slip past the mental gatekeepers and into a natural state of possibility. Manifestation is a huge, huge hot topic for years, right? And again, I want to say this, these techniques aren't wrong. But if you're like me and you tried everything and nothing has clicked, it might simply mean that those approaches aren't aligned with your unique soul design. Yes. So for me, daydreaming feels effortless, authentic, and playful. And that's how I naturally shift into a lighter mode of thinking and being. No performance required at all. I'm very highly intuitive, and maybe you are too. And so for people like us, daydreaming can be a very powerful way to tap into our intuition. And it's so fun too. It's like almost catching little previews of our future, and it's really fun. It's really interesting. You know, like everything that I daydream, sometimes I watch tarot readings and it literally the reading literally talks about what I've been daydreaming, and it's crazy. Like I was just thinking about like something for fun. For funsies, no pressure, no anything, no like, oh, is this possible? Is this not possible? Is this logical? Is it not logical? Is this what's right? Is this what's... No, I literally just let my imagination run wild, and then the tarot readings are like they talk about it, and I'm like, wow. And it makes me feel like it's even more possible now that this can happen. So yeah, and the thing is like why daydreaming works is because daydreaming is a very deep, creative, childlike energy. Something that we did as naturally as like, I don't know, noticing the sky is blue or the grass is green. It's just there. And so even if adulthood has somehow dulled your imagination, it's actually still there waiting for you. Like riding a bike again after years of like not doing it. Like you can pick it up right away. You might need it might feel a little bit foreign, but you can pick it up. It's there if you want it to pick it up. And this playful energy is actually a high frequency state. It attracts more high frequency opportunities. And yes, you can stay neutral, which is better than coming from a low vibrational state like anger or sadness, resentment, forcing things instead of naturally letting it come to you. But if it's natural, then why would you like force things, right? Why settle for neutrality when you can choose joy, wonder, and possibility, which is the highest frequency of all? And the next section I want to talk about is how daydreaming is actually a strength, not a flaw. Daydreaming is such an incredible tool for shaping our reality. So why don't more people use it? And I think, to each of their own, but I think it's because society has long mislabeled dreamers as being hopeless or out of touch, until like one of us turns our dreams into reality and we're successful at it. Like when you have dreams or you have goals and people sort of tell you that it's silly or impossible or just like you're not gonna make any money or blah, 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 and then you actually reach that goal and then they see that you proved them wrong and all of a sudden they do a switch up, they do like a 360 and they're like, oh, I always believed you can do it. Yeah, like society, we love to be like, oh yes, like dream big, and like, but then you start dreaming big and then they do a switch up and then they tell you you're silly, it's not safe and all these things, and you're just like, what? Like, society's a hypocrite, guys. Like, I think like we preach and praise dreamers and we're like, dream big, but then like a lot of times like the adults in our life, like just like people who don't have the capacity to dream big want to keep us chained. Like they want to clip our wings and they want to make us like drag us down to their level because I'm gonna be honest and say that not everyone is a dreamer. Some people are, some people aren't. But if you are, know that like there really is nothing wrong with you, right? People might be telling you like it's silly, like your dreams are silly, but if you really think about it, like dreamers are actually admired for their big visions. And when we really start taking real steps toward those visions, it can make other people uncomfortable, because not everyone is meant to be a dreamer. And for those people who thrive on structure, who thrive on like familiarity, and who thrive on I don't know how to say it, like playing by the rules, quote unquote, playing by the rules, like those people will try to pull us down and make us feel like we're being silly. And these people, like those voices can come from anywhere. Parents, relatives, friends, even strangers, just like anyone who can't hold space for a bigger vision than what they already know. And so just know that, it's not going to be easy. Carving out your own path is scary as hell, especially if you know that you're meant to be like a trailblazer or a way shower. It's so scary. And trailblazers and way showers, if you know what that is, basically someone who carves out a new path, like a path for other people to follow. So not many people are like doing what you do, at least like not in the way that you do it, because everyone can do something, the same things, but not in the way that you do it. So you're proof that you're basically here to show people that it's possible to walk down a different road. Even if you don't call yourself a dreamer, you can still use your imagination every day. And you do use your imagination every day. So artists, musicians, filmmakers, content creators, visionaries of all kind literally make a living by turning their imagination into reality. And even if you're like, I don't know, if you're just like a barista at a cafe, that also uses creative energy too. You're literally like mixing drinks and creating something that is non-existent into something that's existent. So, like imagination is something that we all use every day, whether we know it or not. And you don't need a wild imagination to create your dream life. You just need a sense of what you want and how you want to feel. If you can think it, if you can vision it, you can create it. Dreaming isn't a flaw. It's actually the first step in building something real. So let yourself wonder, let yourself imagine and daydream. If you spent years tucking away your imagination, then start small. Set aside a few quiet minutes each day, or actually, you don't even need to set aside. You can just do whenever you want, okay? But just let your mind wander, because I don't want it to make it feel structured. I want it to come naturally to you, right? Just, make it come naturally to you. But if you want, if you need, you can set aside a few quiet minutes each day. Make yourself feel safe and cozy. If you need things like candles or crystals or some kind of elaborate routine, bring them. Do whatever that makes you feel good. Okay, just do whatever makes you feel good, because that's the most important thing, right? Find a cozy corner, maybe sip some tea, and just let yourself use your imagination and dream and think about what would happen if this thing, like if you got this opportunity, or even create insane scenarios. I think we all do this. Like, just create insane scenarios. Maybe, if this feels too much, next time when you shower, or next time when you're just doing some kind of mindless task, quote unquote mindless task, showering with your teeth, whatever, skincare routine, pay attention to what you're thinking of, and pay attention to these scenarios, pay attention to how that makes you feel, the people, who you are. Be aware of what's going on in your mind, because those are your subconsciousness letting you know what you really want, what you really desire, and who you are as a person. Don't try to force anything. I think that's a huge thing. And that's why none of these manifestation techniques worked for me, is because I try to force things when forcing things is not what we want. We don't want to force things. We don't. So yeah, just pay attention to how you feel. Does it spark energy for you, or does it drain you? Does it start triggering you in a certain way? Pay attention to those things, right? And over time, this simple act of daydreaming, it won't feel like resistance anymore. It won't feel like a guilty pleasure anymore. You'll start to really tap into your own natural flow and creative energy and your own desires, because let's be honest, we don't really know what we want. Not all of us know exactly what we want. I think we all have an idea of what we want, but is it really what we need? So just notice these things. So I'm gonna start wrapping up this episode, because it is getting pretty long. And I don't want to bore you guys. But yeah, so daydreaming, it's your own little magical world. And right now, in a world where we're still so obsessed with hustle and doing it right, and what's right and what's wrong, and you should be doing this, but you should be doing give yourself permission to simply imagine and feel radical. Be gentle and playful, and let yourself dream big, because your dreams are not too big. Your dreams are not foolish. Your dreams are not impossible, even if people make you feel like it is. Your imagination is not a flaw, okay? They are your inner compass, actually guiding you towards a life that feels like your very own. So take a few minutes. Take a few minutes today, close your eyes, and wonder. See where your mind takes you. And trust that these visions are seeds. And with a little love, they will grow. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And yeah, thank you so much. And I love you guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Mwah. Bye.